is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Thursday edition of Main Street Sports. Today on the program, we'll welcome TSSAA, a.k.a. the TSSAA Director Bernard Childress. Talk a shortage of officials and other high school sports topics. Also, Kevin Ingram with the Vanderbilt Radio Network to preview a big upcoming Vandy, Tennessee baseball series this week. And also, our team and player of the week, plus always talking Braves as the season is around the corner, NFL, and more. It's on this Thursday, March 31st edition of Main Street Sports Today. Now to the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton with the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
What is going on this Thursday? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day all day long. It's a little chilly outside as of yesterday. It was much warmer, but that's okay. I'm not mad about it because it doesn't matter. We're inside. We're not outside at some ball game, thank goodness. We are
not yet.
Well, that's true. But there's a lot going on in the world of sports, and I'm looking forward to diving into everything that we have to talk about, including our top story, which is the opening kick today. Bruce Arians has called it quits, and the rumors flying around everywhere, what part did Tom Brady play in this? Appears that Tom Brady coming back played a pretty big part, because Bruce said, I want Todd Bowles to have a really good team to work with, and that's what he has now. So Todd Bowles has been elevated from defensive coordinator to head coach of the Buccaneers, rather than Byron Leftwich, surprisingly. So anyway, that's the top story.
It's almost top story by default, but there's not been anything else that's gone on that even comes close to that, I don't think. As you mentioned, Todd Bowles instead of Byron Leftwich, I just think the fact that Bowles has previously been a head coach probably tips the scales that way. It's interesting, the timing of this.
Timing is a little interesting, but nonetheless, Bruce Arians said he's been to the mountaintop, and that is as far as he needs to go. He's won the Super Bowl with his mom in attendance, and so therefore he needs nothing else to do. So there you go. That is our top story. We will talk more about that in segment number 3 today after we talk to Bernard Childress. But now we need to send you back to JP, and we'll give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown. All right, another busy day in high school sports across the mid-state. High school baseball from Wednesday. Hilton Head Christian out of South Carolina defeated Murfreesboro Central 7-6. It was Blackman 6-2 over New Trier from Illinois. Henry County falls to Oakland. Riverdale big over Lake Park from Illinois. Riverdale also defeated Glenbard East from Illinois. Spring Hill over Rockvale on Wednesday. Smyrna down Neuqua Valley from Illinois. It was Smyrna falling to Silver Creek from Indiana. Gallatin over Beach 7-6. Cookeville down Green Hill. It was Mount Juliet over Lebanon. Hunters Lane falls to Station Camp. Centennial barely over Brentwood by 1 run. Nolansville down Columbia Central, and Independence defeated Summit 9-7. High school softball from yesterday. Columbia Academy over Pisgah from Alabama 11-1. Also defeated Mortimer Jordan from Alabama, and Vestavia Hills from Alabama, and fell to Hartselle 6-5.
No. Mount Pleasant fell to Hartselle.
Mount Pleasant fell to Hartselle. Columbia Academy, by the way, did that win them the championship, or we still not know?
We don't know.
Okay. They were running through the Gulf
They were
Classic.
in the finals against Athens.
Okay.
but we don't know who won.
All right. So, again, Mount Pleasant falls to Hartselle, Alabama. Blackman over Tullahoma, Hendersonville down East Robertson, Brentwood Academy big over Harpeth Hall, and Hume Fogg put 19 up on St. Cecilia in a win. Division I baseball from yesterday, Tennessee, number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers, 11-1 over Western Carolina. College softball yesterday, the Lady Vols 9-2 over Lipscomb, and in a shootout in the borough of Mississippi State, 19-14 over the Lady Blue Raiders. NBA yesterday, it was the Grizzlies 112-111 over San Antonio, and the Grizz stay hot. High school baseball scheduled today. First pitch around 4 o'clock. The Smoky Bear Classic. It is Clarksville Academy at Greenville. Only you can prevent forest fires. NBA at Hendersonville, 4:30 today. Come on. Madison, Indiana takes on Richland in the Viking Classic. Father Ryan and CPA Ainsworth will take on Pope Prep, and Brentwood Academy and Lipscomb will face each other. 5 o'clock, first pitch, Hampshire and Riverside Christian. Cheatham County takes on East Robertson. Grace Christian at DCA Hillwood at Nashville Christian. At 5:30, Lighthouse Christian at Zion Christian. Cascade welcomes Mount Pleasant. Perry County will head south to Wayne County. At 6, Colioca at Cornersville. Giles County welcomes West Limestone out of Alabama. Lawrence County heads west to the river to take on Hardin County. And Trinity Christian will welcome Columbia Academy. 6:30 tonight, Loretto will head across the state line to Russellville, Alabama. Glencliff will be at Laverne. Page welcomes Fairview. MLK at White House Heritage tonight. Mount Juliet at Ravenwood. Dixon County will take on Rossview. At 7, McGavock and Hendersonville will face off tonight. And in the Warrior Spring Classic today, 2:30 first pitch will be Spring Hill versus Glenbard East from Illinois. Stewart's Creek will take on Neuqua Valley. That's a 5 p.m. first pitch. Also at 5, Overton will take on Tullahoma. Clarksville and Collierville also at 5. Station Camp will play Watkins Memorial out of Ohio, also a 5 p.m. first pitch. At 5:30, Spring Hill and Coffee County will face Blackman. At 6, will take on David Crockett. Siegel and Tullahoma at 7:15. And then the following 4 at 7:30 tonight, Briarcrest and Smyrna. Oakland versus Hartselle, Alabama. Riverdale versus Lexington Catholic. And Stewart's Creek versus Noblesville from Illinois. Again, at the Warrior Spring Classic. Check your local listings for locations as those games are being played around Murfreesboro. High school softball today, 4:30, Father Ryan and Brentwood Academy, St. Cecilia and Innsworth. Pope Prep host Harpeth Hall, and Nashville Christian will be at Davidson Christian. At 5 o'clock this evening, South Haven at Zion Christian, Joe Burns versus Westmoreland, White House Heritage at Portland. Loretto at Summertown. Columbia Central at Independence. Dixon County will host Waverly, and DCA travels to Ezel Harding. 5:30 first pitch. Lawrence County hosts Page. Rossview at Clarksville. At 6 tonight, Gallatin at McGavock Beach and Station Camp, Goodpasture and Friendship Christian. On the pitch in soccer today, Nashville Christian at DCA. 5 p.m. first touch. Also 5 o'clock first touch for East Robertson, McEwen, DCA Nashville Christian, and Laverne and Smyrna. At 6, Creekwood will face off against Dixon County. Also, University School of Nashville takes on MLK. Mount Juliet at 11, and also a 6 p.m. first touch. Wilson Central Watertown at 7, as well as Gallatin Beach, Marshall County at Page. In the Southern Coast Cup at 6 o'clock, Oakland takes on Davidson from Alabama. Station Camp also from Huntsville, taking on Huntsville from Alabama, and Columbia Central taking on Daphne from Alabama as well. JUCO baseball today should be underway at this point. Ball State at Walter State, and Columbia State will be at Southwest Tennessee State. That's a 3 p.m. first pitch. And JUCO softball, Ball State at Walter State. First of 2 began at 1. And at 3 today, the first of 2 between Columbia State and Southwest Tennessee State. That's at 3, doubleheader for softball. Women's basketball tonight. Final 4, WNIT from the Glass House in the Borough. The Lady Blue Raiders will welcome the Pirates. Are they the Pirates or the Lady Pirates? They're just the Pirates, right?
I
guess Pirates can be either or.
Yeah, I think so.
It's probably unisexual.
I would think so. Seton Hall at MTSU tonight, ESPN 3, 6:30. That is your rundown for this Thursday, March 31st.
Whatever today is.
Yeah, not April Fool's Day yet, but there you go.
I feel pretty confident that neither Ball State nor Columbia State is playing today in either sport.
I don't know, man. All I know is the composite schedule is tomorrow. So, but when you go to their composite schedule, they just change. Like, it doesn't say no games today. So maybe that is tomorrow.
You're on the TCCAA?
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know. Maybe they're expecting weather. I don't know.
I don't. All I know is, so if it doesn't have, like, if they don't have a game today, it doesn't have Thursday, no games today. So it very well could be tomorrow. But when I went to the schedule, there were games, so it very well could be tomorrow. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Nonetheless,
Always disclaimer: check your local listings.
Yeah, I mean, especially
Subject to change.
when
Spring
we're trying
sports
to get stuff done.
Spring sports are
Always
subject to
subject to
change.
change.
So but we are trying to give the most
Accurate.
timely and comprehensive and accurate information possible here on Main Street Sports today. So we're trying.
I still don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
Bernard Childress coming up on the other side of the break. We'll hand out some hardware as well. So stick around. Main Street Sports Day returns. Talk about officials and the lack thereof.
Mostly the latter.
All right, here. Y'all come back. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today. Looking forward to bringing back the title sponsor tomorrow. Should be fun. Before we get to the director, let's hand out some hardware, Mo.
That'll work.
The End-to-End Life Team of the Week presented by Custom Stone Handlers. Ned, Rich, and the folks doing a great job. And we head north. Independence Baseball, 4-1 last week and averaging 12 runs per win.
Yeah, defeated Marshall County,
Blackman, Clarksville,
and Rossview.
May have been Rossview. I don't remember the fourth one. But
I don't remember the fourth one off the top. My apologies.
But we know those three.
But
definitely.
They did win 4 games last week. Hang on, I can tell you.
Again, our friends at Custom Stone Handlers presenting the End-to-End Life Team of the Week.
Close. Rockvale.
Rockvale.
Their one loss was to Rossview. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. They beat Marshall County 18-0. Blackman 7-1. Lost 8-5 to Rossview. Defeated Clarksville 14-6 and Rockvale 8-5. So, again, putting up some numbers even in the loss. So, that offense been pretty potent.
Speaking of bringing the title sponsor back, we'll talk about him right now. MTBJ, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Player of the Week, also north of here. Spring Hill High School's Quint Miser.
The senior catcher went 3 for 9 in 3 games last week with a pair of bombs and 5 RBIs as RBIs. Can't believe I said RBI, runs batted in.
RSBI.
Yes. As the Raiders went 2-1 over 3 games last week. So congratulations to Quint Miser of the Raiders.
Is that like saying the MLB?
Yeah. It's like so many things, and it's like so many arguments I've had over the years that
it's unfortunately, that's what you get when you have acronyms. Anyway, Coach's Corner now presented by From the Heart Cafe over in Chapel Hill. And of course, Renee Hart and the gang over there keeping you good and fed if you're out in Chapel Hill. So make sure to go by and see them. It's phenomenal, great food, and always a good time. Pick up a book while you're waiting and have some fun. Anyway, on Coach's Corner this week, we have TSSAA Executive Director Bernard Childress, who is joining us rather than staying in a meeting. So good for him. Thank you. Thank you for making us feel important, Bernard.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? How you doing, Mo? I just stepped out of the meeting. I've been in there all day, so it'll be okay.
Well, I want to ask, but I'm not going to ask what meeting you're in. We're just glad that you.
I don't mind. I don't mind telling you. We're trying to finalize our spring fling schedule.
Oh,
okay. I mean, we go from one thing to another, and we've got to get the spring fling schedule finalized to get it to the people in Rutherford County in the chamber so they can start working on their volunteers. And we need to get it to them this week. So we've been working on that all day today.
And I imagine, Bernard, particularly with that 4th classification for baseball and softball, that this is, a different undertaking for you guys, obviously.
You're right, Mo. And that's exactly when I walked out, we were just finishing up our softball. Trying to finish up our softball bracket. It is when you add another class, you got to find fields to play on. You got to add more volunteers to work, and you got to have more umpires. So it took us quite a while to find out how many umpires we needed on Tuesday and Wednesday as opposed to Thursday and Friday. When we started eliminating teams. So, but we'll get it done and we'll get it to them.
Yeah. Obviously, what we were wanting to get you on about, Bernard, was something we wanted to talk to you about for some time. The move to mandate Thursday night football games due to that lack of officials. But now this week, we've seen some situations where it's not just football, where officiating numbers is an issue. And now, as you mentioned it in, spring fling and that kind of thing, but also the 4 classifications is creating some, I guess, concern. I guess there's talk about potentially reducing the state basketball tournament qualifiers to the 4 semifinalists.
We threw that out just as a point of discussion. I can tell you, Maurice, I do not see that happening. I mean, when you look in the board, their attitude right now, those 12 board members, is we're not going to do anything with this unless we have a vote of the schools. When you poll the schools, they said, I understand what you're saying as far as 68 games in 3 weeks and starting on Tuesday and going all the way through Saturday with the girls tournament and the boys tournament. And if we move one round out, we just felt like there would be so much excitement, in the local communities with those games. But overwhelmingly, school administrators and coaches said to us, we do not feel like we've been to the state tournament unless we've been to the Glass House in Murfreesboro. So, you can talk about a whole lot of things, but when you got 12 board members that are voting, we as a staff feel like we could get this done even before the NCAA tournament starts if we were like Division II and went to a Final Four. But it's, to me, a pipe dream right now. It's not. I just don't see it happen.
Yeah, I don't know. You've brought 8 to state in Division I's 3 classes for as long as it's been in this format, and I just don't know. Like you said, I think people talk about getting to Murfreesboro. It's not even getting to the state tournament. It's getting to Murfreesboro. It's getting to the glass house. And I just don't think that's a genie that you can put back in that bottle at this point with so much tradition behind it.
I totally agree. Like I said, you got to throw ideas out there, get the board to think about it. But I know, because I've talked to too many about it in the past, I know right now how they feel about it. And when it was brought up a few years ago, we are going to look at going to a Final Four. Even our president, Mike Reed, he said, Bernard, you remember we did this several years ago, and we did it in a June meeting, and we got so much slack from schools. We came back in August and had to reverse it. He said, so we don't want to do that again. We want our school's opinion. I know how the schools feel about it. We all know how the schools feel about it. And I get their point. And so it's a great experience for these young people to come and play in a state tournament atmosphere. And the schools right now just do not feel like they are in a state tournament atmosphere in Division I unless they are in Murfreesboro.
Bernard Childress, Columbia native and executive director of the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association, with us here on Main Street Sports today. And Bernard, as I said, that wasn't necessarily what we had initially wanted to talk to you about. Let's get into that. At the February Board of Control meeting, it was voted that football programs would be mandated to play one Thursday night game during the 2022 season in an effort to try to relieve some of the officiating shortage that has taken place in football. And again, now this week we're seeing that softball in particular is having some officiating numbers issues as well. And I'm sure that goes to baseball as well. How do you, what night do you shift softball games to? I mean, it's
well, let me start with what you're talking about is in certain areas of the state. We have a tremendous amount of schools that are playing softball games and tournaments in Middle Tennessee. So the problem right now in softball, we haven't heard anything from West Tennessee. We haven't heard anything from East Tennessee. The problem we have now is in Middle Tennessee, where we have 3 associations trying to cover every school in Middle Tennessee. And you got to add in now middle school games also. But everybody wants to play on Tuesday and Thursday. And our signers are saying to us, send us some Monday games. If you would play on Friday, we can cover every game in Middle Tennessee. But if they're not playing in a tournament, some of the coaches are like, well, we may practice on Friday, but we're going to get out of here early, and not wanting to play a game. And we spent a lot of time. I was on the phone probably at 10 o'clock of the night with the signer in Middle Tennessee. And what I said to him was, look, you got to be fair to every child and every school that you assign. And your last option should be sending one official to a game. 2 in regular season, really, the game is covered much better with 3. But if they're using 2, I said, so you need to start with the district games in that are being played in Division One, the regional games that are being played in Division Two, and make sure that every one of those games are covered with 2 umpires. Then, if you want to even consider using one, if you're having middle school games that you need to cover, you can use one, possibly use one there if the coaches agree. Or if you have some games that you know it's going to be a softball game, it's going to be 28-27. You know, talk to those coaches and see if you can use one there. But be fair, and when you run out, you run out. And now you got to talk to the other schools about possibly moving their games from Thursday to Friday. And that's what we had in football. I know you wanted to talk about the football proposal. We spent so much time. Richard McWhirter, who was in charge of football, I know there were Thursday nights where he was on the phone trying to find college officials who may be coming this way to call MTSU's game, calling them saying, hey, would you come in a day early and do a high school game? We'll pay you mileage and we'll pay, pay you to officiate the game. And because we know you got MTSU on Saturday. Some games had to be moved this past year, at the last minute to Thursday because we just didn't have the officials. So we did form a committee of board members and state office staff people, and this is what they came back with. I actually took this to the Football Coaches Association in Chattanooga when we were there and talked to them about it and said, look, you all know where we are. If we made this type of proposal, would you support it? And they, to the person, they said, we're all in this together. We've got to recruit some young people to get into officiating and stay. And until we can do that and get our numbers back up, we would be willing to try this for 1 year. So we had support of the Football Coaches Association. We had the committee's recommendation, and of course the board passed it.
It's as far as recruiting goes. Yeah, I had someone suggest to me, and I don't know if this is something that you guys could do or if this is something that needs to be left up to individual associations. But trying to get into into colleges where there are a lot of college kids who could use a little extra cash, and they got the only thing better to do on a Friday night is party. So I'm just saying, maybe we need to get into these colleges and say, hey, y'all, we're going to give you a little extra cash and put it in your pocket. And hopefully, if 20% stick it out, then, you have some officials for the future. But it's a tough thing to ask folks. I mean, it's rough out there.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
We're already there. We're already there.
Okay.
We have signing officers that go speak to college classes all across the state, trying to recruit young people and even players of particular sports to give back to the game. And and Jim Manise here in our office has gone to several colleges and spoke to classes about the same thing. We now have in Rutherford County, we're hoping that if it works, it spreads all across the state. The schools in Rutherford County agreed that they are going to seek out and try to sponsor at least one young person, like I said, maybe a college person, somebody that's interested in, started with football, somebody that's interested in football and actually what they are calling scholarship them, pay for their uniform, pay for their association fees, pay for their registration fees, and all the things they got to have to get started for that first year. And they're trying to do that right now.
Good.
And we have some schools that have actually said and called us and said, hey, we got a kid that wants to do this, and we're going to pay for everything that he needs to get started. Tell us what that is and how much you think it's going to be. We think, Because you think about it, when they starting, so I'm gonna have to come out of my pocket with between $300 and $400 just to get started doing this.
Yep.
How long is it going to be take me to get this back? You know, how far am I gonna have to travel? How many games am I gonna get? And some of them are just like they don't really have the money to get started. So we're trying to do things like that to try to help. We've been having a student officials program where if students they're identified, you know, 11th grade on, if they're identified and they want to work, we waive all registration fees here at our office, and we get them with an association, and they work with veteran officials and try to train them to become officials. But our numbers are down. We don't know. Normally the numbers go up when people are unemployed. Now you can walk anywhere now and see help wanted signs. People are having a problem getting a job these days if they want one. And so, and then sometimes we struggle with the really good young officials getting started. They really love it. And all of a sudden, I'm getting $85 to call a football game on Friday night. But I just got contacted by the OVC, and I can go do an OVC game on Saturday and make $2,700.
Yep.
Which one do you think they're gonna take?
Hey,
Listen, this is a true story. A guy that I did a World Series and USSSA World Series. I did softball with a guy. It was his first year as an official. On Sunday, I was watching Jacksonville State, and he was umpiring, 28 years old, umpiring OVC softball.
Yeah.
That's,
absolutely.
I mean, you got 28-year-olds out there umpiring kids his age.
but the thing is, though, to a degree, that could be the carrot for some of these guys and ladies as well, because I mean, former University School of Nashville basketball standout Will Howard Downs. See him on TV all the time doing SEC games and beyond. I mean, if you're good, there's places for you to go. So, I mean, if this is something
you take a Will Howard. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Will Howard down. And when Will Howard gets into college, he don't have time. He's not going to do a high school game.
Sure.
He may not do a high school game this year. So we've lost him, you know?
Right.
And so it's that limited time that we have with these really ones that come on and they really work at it and they get good at it. We probably keep that kid 3 years at the most.
Right.
And then the colleges will come in and say, hey, would you like to come and work in the OVC?
Remember, high schools are not the only place where officials are short. They're short at the pro level. Right. They're short at the college level. And that's just the way it's going to be for a little while. And unfortunately, it starts at the middle school. I mean, that's it. That's where you get the biggest shortage. So it's tough.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Chris, we would be even shorter if we didn't have some officials, thank goodness, that said, we'll come and work college games. We love high school sports, and we're going to continue to work high school. So we have a lot of our officials that work both high school and college.
Bernard Childress, Executive Director of the TSSAA, thank you so much for taking some time with us. Get that schedule done so we can start planning our spring fling trip as well.
Well, thank you all. Like I said, it's always a pleasure, especially to talk to my hometown people. And I just appreciate what you all do for young people. Hopefully by the time I get back in here, you all pull me out. I was glad to get out. Maybe by the time I get back in here, they've ironed everything out and I just need to approve it.
There you go.
There you go. I like that. Bernard Childress of the TSSAA with us here on Main Street Sports today. When we come back on the other side of this break, there has been a captain named for an upcoming spring football game.
It's interesting.
Up north of here, and it's an interesting honorary captain. So
let's talk about it.
Let's do when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back into this Main Street Sports Today. Mo, are you an enthusiastic sports fan?
Heck, yes.
Heck yes.
How good was the old coach?
Huh.
I mean, we didn't expect anything less, but
He's always good.
and so transparent and direct and doesn't hide things.
That's the beauty
Yeah.
of talking to Bernard Childress.
It's too bad.
If you ask him a question, you're going to get an answer.
Yeah.
Now, it may not be the answer you want, but you're going to get an answer. And,
he tells us every time. I'll answer your questions.
That's right.
and
I'll tell you what we're talking about.
If
Nick.
I have an answer,
I'll answer.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah. And man, there's no substitute for that. There's not. So.
Well, it's just too bad that we can't get him to Mark Emmert's seat.
You're here.
Because, boy, we could use some answers at that level.
I'd love for Bernard Childress to be the head of the NCAA.
Wouldn't that be phenomenal?
Yeah. I doubt he'd want it.
No,
Yeah.
no, he probably would not. Mo, not only will there be a honorary captain in Ann Arbor for the Blue and Maize game, but during sometime during this event, there will be a showcase of sorts.
Oh, okay.
Colin Kaepernick has been named an honorary captain for Michigan's spring game, which might sound a little odd for someone who played at Nevada, but his old pro coach, Jim Harbaugh, is, of course, the coach of the Wolverines. There will be a showcase of Kaepernick working out, throwing to some NFL free agent wide receivers during the event, which is certainly interesting. We've heard of his recent workouts, and a lot of folks say that Colin Kaepernick looks like he could step in and play right now. So I guess they'll get to see firsthand in Ann Arbor.
I just feel like the level that he had played at when last he played, it's tough for me to think that there are 64 better quarterbacks in the league than Colin Kaepernick.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I mean, we just haven't seen him at that level in, 4 or 5 years?
But the only way to know.
No, I'm not saying I'm just saying that we don't know.
Yeah.
Because he's not been there.
No.
And that's not.
We don't. You're right. We don't know. They don't know either.
But neither do they. So I'm not going to say that somebody should sign him, but I'm also not saying that you're telling me.
I don't know why you wouldn't kick the tires.
What was the guy that ended up? He was the backup in maybe Buffalo or New York or something. I mean, hadn't played in 10 years or something.
Any number.
There was I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was the kid from Missouri. Not Drew Lock, but the one before him. the Missouri quarterback.
I know who
you
you're
know
talking
about.
Yeah.
And he maybe it was it the Cowboys that he started for? I don't remember. I cannot
think of his name. I know who you're talking about. And
but he hadn't played in like literally 10. We didn't know he was still in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He graduated in like 07, 08 or something, and and has apparently been bouncing around the National Football League for 14 years.
Holding clipboards.
Hey, I'll tell you what. It's the best job in the world is holding a clipboard on an NFL team. There's no doubt about that. Backup quarterback for the NFL? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Give me that job all day. But it is interesting that, you know, I mean, the fact that nobody has even tried.
And again,
guess we'll see what he looks like in Michigan. What do you? I mean, I say, what do you think? I mean,
he's had some passing sessions with, I guess Seahawks receiver Tyler Lockett and his brother, I think, and he's had some other throwing workouts with some guys. And all of the reports on those have been what I'd expect anyway. I mean, the guy can still throw the ball to NFL receivers. So I don't know. I just don't know if you're trying to win football games. I don't know why you wouldn't take a look at him.
Just give it a shot. All right. Bruce Arians, just to touch on that for just a little bit more. What are you surprised? Were you as surprised as I was to get that breaking news alert?
Yeah, I did not. I mean, I didn't expect it. Didn't have any reason to expect it. I mean, again, they coming off a couple of great years under Arians, and I don't know. It sounds a little bit like Bobby Johnson's resignation / retirement at Vanderbilt a few years ago. I don't know if Arians did this with the intent of, kind of forcing Tampa Bay to stay in-house with his successor, or
it's possible,
or if it was Brady didn't want to play for Arians. There's some of that.
Well, if he didn't want to play for him, then why come back?
Yeah.
I know we're about to go to break, but my thought on that, I think he wanted to allow one of his guys to get the job, but he also had, he spent all last year with a torn Achilles, hobbling around. His health has been
Arians
up and down.
did?
Yes, his health has been up and down. So I think,
although he says that had nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah, of course he's going to say that, but I don't think it had anything to do with Brady.
I don't either. I don't think Tom Brady had anything to do with it.
Other than maybe making that,
not.
but maybe making that decision easier for him.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's going to hand it off to his guy
in as good a situation as he could,
with Brady at the helm.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Let's take a quick halftime break. I've got some random facts to give you. Stick around. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSSAA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy Wham married the best looking girl Bananarama, so other guy Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. All right, so let me just throw some, and forgive my pun here, facts at you.
Are we sure they're facts? These are facts? I guess
Just the facts.
just the facts.
Dallas Jackson, who is a former editor of popculture.com and Middle Tennessee resident, I believe.
Murfreesboro, I believe. Yeah.
So he was, I knew he was living here for a while.
Well, before he did pop culture, he was a sports.
He was a sports writer.
guy.
Correct.
Yeah.
For 24/7 or
I think
something like that. Or Rivals.
Maybe
one or two.
Rivals.
The samurai were officially abolished in 1867. All right. Abraham Lincoln was famously assassinated in 1865. The first ever printing telegraph was invented in 1843, or a fax machine, which is the fax pun. Anyway, there was a 22-year window in which a samurai could have sent a fax to Abraham Lincoln. That is insane.
Cut his mic.
Because listen, there's a TikTok out there that is facts that will mess with your perception of time.
This is FACTS.
Yes.
Facts.
But
Not a facsimile.
like this messes with my perception of time.
22 years.
A 22-year window in which a samurai could have sent a fax to Abraham Lincoln.
And define a samurai again? The sword?
No, the samurai
The-
was a people.
Okay.
They were a warrior people in
22
in
year
Japan.
where the samurai could have.
Sent a facsimile
Okay.
To Abraham Lincoln.
to Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
That blows my mind. Dallas Jackson's tweet said, "Well, with this new information, I'd like to pretend a samurai faxed Abraham Lincoln about the invention of A1 steak sauce in 1862." Because that's always been one of my favorite jokes is, since 1862 on A1 steak sauce, right in the middle of the Civil War, somebody said,
Hey,
you know what this country could really use?
a
good steak sauce.
Hey, help ease the pain of the war, maybe.
Clearly. So anyway, there's a 22-year window in which
Or, beef could have been tough to get around then. And
I guess if you managed to get steak in 1862
yeah,
with everything that was going on,
Yeah.
you deserve to be able to enjoy it, right?
that's right. Yeah, you probably need to cover it with something. Yeah.
my granddad bought the first ever fax machine sold in Birmingham, Alabama from Jimmy Bragan, Bobby Bragan's son, who eventually became the commissioner of the Southern League.
There we go.
So there you go.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a trivia host right there.
more facts.
Yeah.
About facts.
There's your new podcast.
Facts on facts.
Facts on facts.
Facts on facts on facts.
But no beefing over fish.
That's right. That's another great title for a podcast.
That would be a great title for a podcast.
What's your beef over fish?
Oh, man. Come back with us to the second half of Main Street Sports today. We'll be back. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSSAA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl in Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Made to the second half of Main Street Sports Today. Coming up, we'll be joined by Vanderbilt Sports Radio Network's Kevin Ingram ahead of the Vandy UT Powerhouse Baseball Series coming up at Hawkins Field starting tomorrow. Also, a little Braves baseball talk as well. And, looks like we got a wild card final segment. Stay tuned. It'll be fun. On this Thursday edition, second half action, back to the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, the Sundrop kid from Alabama, who once got told by the owner of the Birmingham Steel Dogs to pipe down, you're barking too loud tailgating. Chris Yao.
Fun fact, I did not do the barking.
Guilty by association.
I was the one who was yelling, "Who let the dogs out?" and everyone else barked after that.
Semantics.
So you were the cheer leader.
That's correct. I was the leader.
Or is A&M the yell leader, right?
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, yell leader.
Well, I mean, it
sounds better.
It was, we had some interesting times, but yes, I was, in fact, the one, because obviously at our home games after touchdowns, we played,
of course,
the Baja Men.
Of course, you did.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, Steel Dogs.
Steel Dogs. On the road.
How much did they have to pay for that, by the way?
Nothing. I mean, it's just like playing at a bar as long as you pay the BMI and ASCAP fees.
Why is that song like the poster child for that? Did they have a big
for what?
For paying royalties of it's like
it probably gets played so much.
Maybe
so
it's
randomly.
It's kind of like the song version of "Let's Get Ready to Rumble."
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Curious.
My favorite was when we would do they had an indoor blimp that they would fly around,
and
it would drop like free stuff from it,
mm-hmm.
and they would play you
drop
the bomb on me during that segment. That was always fun. And
as an aspiring DJ, you were impressed and loving that, right?
He was taking in all of
mm-hmm.
that.
Well, so the Steel Dogs ran from 2000 to 2007, and in
best 7 years of your life, right?
Well, the first year I didn't have season tickets. We went to like 3 or 4 different home games, including
mm-hmm.
the first game. So that's when we got hooked. But we bought season tickets every year after that. But in 2002, 2003 ish, when they would play the, you dropped the bomb on me, I would always tell people it was the number one song in Afghanistan at the time.
Oh,
it was bad,
Man.
I was a rough 18, 19-year-old kid, man. I'm just saying, I left
hard to believe in that, Mo.
I left no joke unsaid, untold. I can tell you.
No matter how funny it wasn't.
It's only not funny to.
Christian's motto: put it up there. You decide.
That's right. I mean, Anyway, let's talk about the Braves because
speaking of dropping bombs.
Yeah. First, before we get to the lineup, is the Sean Newcomb experience gonna be over?
If he has many more outings like this, it will be.
Should it be over? Should Spencer Strider be the guy?
I don't know it. I don't even know if it's a case of Sean Newcomb versus anybody. I just think he's had ample opportunity to show that he could or could not produce consistently at that level. And, everybody points to the 8 2/3 no-hit innings against the Dodgers back in 19? Was that when that was? But by far, that outing has proven to be the exception and not the rule. And I mean, you don't expect him to throw like that every time out, but you expect to see something closely resembling that on a regular basis, and certainly not 4 walks in 1 2/3 innings like he did today.
Yeah.
So
it's just unfortunate because he does have such a high ceiling.
Well, and what's really unfortunate about it, and I get this, is you've seen enough of him that you think you don't want him to go somewhere else and get it together.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we've seen that with some guys that we've let go.
Yeah. So, yeah, Alex Wood, looking at you,
yeah, I mean, we got very bad Alex Wood, and then next thing you know,
and then great Alex Wood goes to Cincinnati and now is with the Dodgers. So that will keep you from making a move
sometimes.
But I think if the writing isn't on the wall for Sean Newcomb at this point, it's pretty close.
I mean, think if you're the Rockies and you watch Tyler Matzik do what he did in the postseason last year.
Sure. I think probably every major league team has a horror story like
or
that. Yeah. At least one.
At least one, though.
Yeah.
For sure. My question in this segment was, is this Braves lineup the best top to bottom Braves lineup we've ever seen? Because that lineup that included Justice and McGriff and Marquise Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some. Chipper obviously was in there, but then you had Lemke and Belliard who were meh.
You had Lemke and Belliard who were meh, but you had enough other sticks around them that they were quite productive. Yeah, Galarraga was at first, I think, during that stretch.
96, 97.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I said McGriff because I was doing 95.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's tough for me to answer that just because they start to run together after a while, to be honest. But this lineup, especially when you add in a DH, whoever that is, because it sounds like right now Ozuna is going to be the guy in left, which
that's what it looks like. At least to start.
I don't get that.
Well, right now he kind of has to be because you don't have Acuna.
Could you not put Dickerson in left?
I mean, you could, I guess.
Or
but do you want him in the lineup?
What's he going to do? Pinch hit? You got a DH.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, I guess I don't know, but I think it's a possibility that we could see 6 Braves hit 30 home runs or more.
Let me just throw something out there. Talk about the greatest Braves lineup of all time. To me, what stands out was that first run in the early 90s, maybe the year 2, but
Otis Nixon.
Well, yeah, Terry Pendleton was an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Gant was in his prime 30 guy, right?
Mhm.
David Justice was up and coming. Jeff Blauser almost had an MVP type year one season at shortstop. At Otis, I mean that.
But then you had Greg Olson. So
yeah, leading up to that World Series win, I think 92, 93, maybe 94. I think though that would give a run for the greatest. But to your point, I think this year's team may have
the weakest link on this year's team is Dansby Swanson.
Yeah,
that's a good weak link,
and that's a pretty good weak link.
Only the number one player drafted.
Well, he only hit 27 home runs last year.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that could absolutely see Acuna, Olson, Riley, Ozuna, Albies, Duvall, potentially Dansby. You're looking at seven or eight guys who could potentially hit 30 home runs.
25 easily.
25. That's that. And
there
everybody,
there are no holes in this lineup.
For all the people talking about the Dodgers lineup, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. It is a fantastic lineup, but this
until you send them out on defense.
Well, but this Braves lineup offensively,
and they can actually catch the ball at their positions.
I would be hard pressed to make an all 90s team that would compete with this lineup because of the lack of production from second base and shortstop through that era.
Yeah, because you would put Javi Lopez on that team at catcher.
Right.
But yeah, second up the middle, they were a little lacking.
So yeah. Anyway, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Kevin Ingram joins us from Vanderbilt Radio, and we'll talk about this weekend's big series against the number 1 ranked Vols. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today returns after this. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSSAA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today. Oh, to answer your question, yes. There is a report out there that Vanderbilt guard Scottie Pippen Jr. is in the transfer portal.
Come on, man. Thursday. Why are you doing this to me?
I just searched on Twitter Pippen transfer.
What's the date on it?
March 25th. So that comes from verbalcommits.com. So I don't know
6
what that
days ago. Yeah. And that's the only thing.
Well, I mean, there's several other tweets about it, but
really?
Anyway, you know who we could ask if he's heard anything? Kevin Ingram. So let's just bring him on right now. Hey, Kevin, how are you, man?
What's going on? I'm still trying to get past the promo that was talking about Wham and Bananarama. I feel like I'm in the right place
well,
on this radio show.
Yeah, Marty McGee and Marty and McGee. Marty's kind of he's the George Michael of the bunch, and Ryan McGee sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. So we affectionately call him the other guy in Wham.
Not we.
Well, he actually referred to himself as the other guy in Wham.
You referred to him as the other guy in Wham. In fact, when we first got him, it was like, can't you get Marty? I'm like, no, but I can get Ryan, So Chris was a little disappointed to have Ryan McGee on our airwaves. Me, I was ecstatic. Kind of like I am to have Kevin Ingram. So, Kevin, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you taking some time with us, and hopefully Chris won't compare you to Andrew Ridgely before we can get off. But
yeah, Mo, anytime, man. It was great seeing you the other night down in Murfreesboro, and I'll always enjoy catching up with you guys.
Yeah, wanted to talk to you about this UT baseball series, but as long as we brought it up, Scottie Pippen transfer portal. Is anybody on West End talking about that?
I have not heard anything. I had seen probably the same thing you did, and that was several days ago, but I haven't heard anything to that end. I'll be really interested to see what Scottie does. He's had back-to-back fantastic seasons. He's the first player in about 25 years to average 20 points a game in consecutive seasons in the SEC. But yeah, I think it'll be a big decision to make for him, whether he plays out his fourth year at Vanderbilt, to go somewhere else, tries to go in the NBA draft. I mean, I think there are probably a lot of things in the air for him as far as the decision to be made. But as far as actually entering the transfer portal, I do not know anything official on that.
World of College Basketball Twitter says Scottie Pippen is not in the transfer portal. The Vanderbilt basketball Twitter DM'd me to let me know what I retweeted was from a fake account. In other news, St. Peter's won. So there you go.
I'm just glad the Vanderbilt basketball Twitter is tweeting somebody.
Well, we know Jerry Stackhouse isn't tweeting Mo because,
that's not happening. Yeah. Kevin, obviously, huge baseball series at the Hawk this weekend. Top-ranked Tennessee coming in for a 6:00 game tomorrow that will be shown on ESPN2. 7:00 game on Saturday that will be on the SEC network, and a 1:00 series finale on Sunday that will be shown on SEC Network Plus. Now, which of these games will you be working, and in what capacity?
I'll be doing Sunday's game on SEC Plus. I'll be on the call with Andrew Harris on that game on Sunday. So, yeah, they'll, as you said, ESPN2 and SEC Network, the linear channel, will be doing the game on Saturday. But, yeah, we'll be with you on Sunday at 1:00.
I don't know that these two teams have both been in the top 10 going into a series as they are this weekend. You might know better than I would, but just the excitement around this. I hate that this series is as early in the SEC conference schedule as it is, really.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. In fact, it feels like it's really early in the conference schedule. Even last year, it was a couple weeks later than this. Now, you think about last year, that series over in Knoxville, both the teams were highly ranked then. And it was a really, it was a pretty hyped up series last year. And it was around the time that fans were first being, again, allowed to come back into the ballpark. And I think there was some sort of attendance restriction, but I don't know that was very closely followed, which was fine in terms of, having a great atmosphere for the series. But boy, this one's really jacked up. I mean, Tennessee ranked number 1. They moved into that spot, and deservedly so, after they just went down to Oxford to beat the daylights out of Ole Miss last weekend. And Vanderbilt slipped down a few spots after dropping 2 out of 3 against South Carolina. But I really expect this to be a great series. I do sort of wish it was a little bit later in the SEC season because, whatever happens in this series, it's not like it's the end of conference play. It doesn't decide the championship or anything like that. But if one team or another gets a sweep, it could certainly help or hinder the other team. So we'll see. But it's really exciting to think about what's ahead this weekend with these two teams.
we had Wes Rucker from 24/7 Sports on a couple of days ago, Kevin, and the one thing that we talked about with this UT team is the pitching that they can run out at you, and the numbers that those pitchers are putting up, particularly on the radar gun. I don't know that any pitching staff has the number of 100-mile-an-hour guys that UT has the potential of running out. And they've got another one that threw in relief in last night's win against Western Carolina, and Blake Tidwell from Loretto. I would imagine you got to expect to see him at some point this weekend as well. But I mean, do you feel like Vanderbilt has seen this type velocity as deep as UT can provide it?
I don't know if they've seen anything like this since last season. I mean, you think about Mississippi State and what those guys have done out there in the two series, the first one in Nashville and then the second one in Omaha. Man, they had some dudes that could bring it. But yeah, this Tennessee bunch, man. Chase Burns is hitting triple digits all the time. You mentioned Blake Tidwell. I'll be interested to see how they use him this weekend. You got to think if he pitched last night, I know he's coming back from injury. You got to think we'll probably see him at some point. He's been a weekend starter, I should say, during his career, was last year. So I got to think he'll be a factor. Redmond Walsh really good at the back end of that bullpen for Tennessee. But yeah, their pitching's been amazing. I mean, you look this deep into the season, you got a 186 team ERA in 24 games or 25 games, 24 of them wins. Pretty remarkable. They're really good across the board, whether it's putting the bat on the ball and driving it out of the yard or pitching. They've got it all this season. So yeah, they've been so impressive. Only loss was to Texas, and that's been it. They've rolled through these first two weekends of SEC play 6-0.
How does Vanderbilt combat this? I mean, this is a really good Vanderbilt team. So what can we expect from the Commodores to make sure that Tennessee walks out of here not 9-0 in SEC play?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge for Vanderbilt. But the one thing I think you have to keep in mind too is that Tennessee probably looks at this as a measuring stick series, not really just for this year's team, but for their program.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like a really important series for their guys to go into Nashville and say, okay, we're here, we're not going anywhere. Tennessee has made a lot of progress over the last couple of seasons with Tony Vitello as coach. But Vanderbilt's still been Vanderbilt, in the national champion in 2019, came up a win short of another championship last year. So, and you got a lot of guys in this Vanderbilt team who played in this series last year against Tennessee and who played in the College World Series. I mean, you look at the top few guys in the batting order, pretty much all the regulars, with the exception of Davis Diaz, the freshman. Everybody else that you're going to see as far as position players has played in a very meaningful game for Vanderbilt. So being in these situations, they're really nothing new for a lot of these guys. I think one thing that Vanderbilt's going to have to really do in this series is when they have opportunities to score runs, going to have to get them home. That was a problem in that series against South Carolina. Stranded 22 base runners in games 2 and 3 of that series. And some of it, you tip your cap. South Carolina made some great defensive plays that snuffed out innings. But for Vanderbilt, when you have these chances against Tennessee, especially with the kind of defense or with the kind of offense that they have and can score so many runs, and the pitching just not just not allowing runs, but not really allowing a lot in terms of base runners. Vanderbilt's going to have to make the most of those chances, whether it's playing small ball, whether it's getting Enrique Bradfield on and stealing a couple bases and using a sac fly or a ground out. However you have to get those runs home, don't just try to depend on a big inning or a big swing. Just get the job done when you have the chances.
Speaking with Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network here on Main Street Sports Today. Again, huge baseball series coming up this weekend at Hawkins Field as top-ranked Tennessee comes to town. Kevin, as you were talking a second ago, it struck me. Do you feel like this series is more important to Tennessee than Vanderbilt?
I think it probably is important in different ways for both teams. I think for Vanderbilt, as much as anything, you just want to play good baseball, whether it's against Tennessee or anybody else in the SEC you would be facing this weekend. I think in terms of the rivalry and something to prove or whatever, I think maybe that swings a little more in Tennessee's direction. But I think for Vanderbilt, it's more about, hey, let's take another step in the course of this season. Now, there's no question. It's a rivalry series. Everybody understands all that. And Vanderbilt's players and team and fans and everybody feel that too. But yeah, I think it's just important in different ways for each of these teams, if that makes any sense as far as answering your question, Mo.
It is interesting because, obviously Tennessee gets a lot of Kentucky basketball is their Super Bowl, and Vandy baseball is their Super Bowl, and that, and rightfully so. I mean, Vanderbilt is the standard for SEC baseball and has been at least for the last decade and a half. So there's nothing wrong with being everybody's Super Bowl, other than you can't take a night off, and especially when you're
right.
When you're a top 10 baseball team, you're expected to be
a top 10
baseball team. You don't expect to lose at home, even if it is the number one team coming in. So that's part of that, though, is this Vanderbilt team. They know how to play in these type of games, and Tennessee plays a little loose, and that's probably because they don't feel like they have anything to lose. But over time, when it gets to, as you said earlier, Mo, it's March, it's not May or June. Over time, this team knowing how to win is still going to make Vanderbilt baseball a tough team to beat throughout the season, no matter what happens this weekend.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the one thing that I think is really interesting when you look at this series, it's just, and you hit it a minute ago, how different these two programs go about trying to achieve the same goal. There are lots of different ways, and in every sport, there are different ways of winning games, and that holds true in baseball. You look at the way Vanderbilt goes about its business with Coach Corbin. Things are very buttoned up, and kind of almost a military type feel at times. For Tennessee, it feels like more of a frat house kind of feeling to their team. Just the way they play. I mean, you said it. They're very loose. They're very confident. They have a big time playing baseball. Not that Vanderbilt guys don't. I think Vanderbilt players and program. I think everybody has a whole lot more fun than maybe people think. Winning makes everything a whole lot more fun. But just different ways of going about trying to achieve the same goal. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, as so much of baseball is decided about who can pitch the best and who can catch the ball and make the plays and not give away outs. And, certainly offense is a big part of that. But to me, those other two elements, especially in close games and when you get on down the road in the postseason, that always makes a difference. So you can go about it however you want, but you have to have those fundamental elements if you're going to win baseball games, especially in big spots.
Kevin Ingram, Vanderbilt Radio Network, with us here on Main Street Sports Today. And Kevin, before we let you go, we can't let you go without asking you, have you got all of your newly logoed gear yet?
I can't say that I have any newly logoed gear yet. I'll be looking for it. I'm always up for some new gear, so whatever anybody can pass along my way. I'd certainly be happy for. I've seen a T-shirt or two pop up here and there, or maybe a hat or a polo with the logo on it. But I have plenty of Star V gear that I'll be rocking for the interim here. But I'm sure all that'll be coming soon.
Will you be wearing the new logo when you get it?
Yes, I will. Since Vanderbilt's my employer, then if they want me to wear the new logo, then I'll wear the new logo.
Smart man, this Kevin Ingram. Hey,
I tell people there's one hard and fast rule that I have is that you always root for your employer.
That's right.
Makes sense.
My granddad gave me some of the best advice I ever got in my life when he told me it never gets any bigger than the man who signs your paycheck. So, I feel you there.
Makes sense. Makes perfectly good sense. Right. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, 6 o'clock on Friday night, 7 o'clock on Saturday night, 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon at Hawkins Field. And you can hear Kevin Ingram on that 1 o'clock Sunday call on SEC Network Plus, along with former Vanderbilt infielder Andrew Harris. Kevin, appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon.
Hey, anytime. Give me a holler anytime. I'm always glad to help. Thank you for having me.
All right. When we come back, the wild card. I got some stuff.
You got something to say?
We got some stuff to talk about. So stick around on Main Street Sports Today. We'll be back after this. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Hey, welcome back in. It is Main Street Sports today. Almost Friday. Almost. The sun is out. That's going to help a little. A little. But at least, yeah.
Every little bit helps on a day like this.
Did you guys have anything blow away yesterday?
I had a limb fall in my front yard.
Did it break anything? Hurt anything?
No, it just fell in the front yard. Big
limb. Yeah.
Trash can in the yard of the house next to me.
Okay.
Blew over.
Yeah, my trash can had been blown over when I got home, and then we've got this old stone bench, heavy as hell. I mean, it's like 100 pounds. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Blew over?
No, I picked it up and put it, propped it up against our new fence. We got a new fence about a month and a half ago, and so I propped it up against that because the big French gates were starting to blow a little bit. It worked.
A new fence.
Mm-hmm.
Was it put up by anybody that you have voiced commercials for?
We tried and never got a call back. So.
Oh wow!
Oh,
yeah. So if you need a fence, don't
stop. We're not on that station anymore. But
if you had asked for a pole barn,
that would have been we would have. That's right.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
You're in the market for a fence. What about a pole barn?
Maybe a pole barn.
Maybe a pole barn. That's it. Maybe the pole barn.
Yeah.
Pole barn would be fun though. I wouldn't mind having a pole barn.
Where would
backyard.
you put it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of room for a pole barn, but
you do not.
The idea of a pole barn just sounds. I mean, it's
maybe a mini pole barn.
Yeah,
like a pole gazebo.
It
would be that's what we call a carport. You can't just. It's like I saw a tweet the other day. This person was like, in times of breaking news like this, there should be some sort of podcast we can listen to in real time. You mean radio? You're thinking of radio.
Wow. Damn millennials. A real-time podcast.
Real-time
podcast.
It's almost like we've had that for ages.
More than 100 years.
More than 100 years. So there's that.
What did we do before podcasts, right? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Good Lord.
Nobody heard anybody speak.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, you said you had something. Let's get to it.
Well, I mean, nothing spectacular, but Las Vegas is getting their own street circuit Formula One race.
So, akin to what Nashville had?
Exactly what Nashville had, except it's going to go right down the strip.
Same circuit?
There's jokes there.
I mean, feel free to give them.
No, it would be completely tasteless.
But, again, Nashville, is not the first place that they had a street race,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd certainly believe.
Are they coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Music
Is
Grand
that-
Prix is a thing.
Well,
But
they had some issues, but
the way that Nashville handles this kind of stuff,
That's
it
true.
makes Las Vegas and other tourist destination type cities very intrigued. And I love that Nashville was kind of the test market for something like
the
this.
trendsetter, so to speak. Yeah.
And so
kind of setting the standard for everybody else to try to catch up to, sort of like the NFL draft from a couple of years ago.
There are a lot of similarities for what you're talking about. Because think about it. It's like Nashville is the Vegas of the East without the gambling.
Yeah.
Because you're right. What you're talking about, this race, the NFL draft. Look at the ACM awards. They were in Vegas at the Allegiant Stadium. I mean, they went full on football stadium in the Dome, and they've been in Vegas for a while now.
The NASCAR awards came from Vegas to Nashville, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Nashville and Vegas really are pretty similar.
They are. Yeah.
It's casinos and honky tonks.
Uh-huh.
What's the real difference? The drinks aren't free at the honky tonks, I can tell you.
Unfortunately.
Matter of fact,
or fortunately.
Not only are they not free,
but I think you pay for Vegas's drinks at Nashville honky tonks because they're double the
they're
price.
trying to make up for it. Huh? Yeah.
It must be.
So they're owned by the same folks.
And well, as you said, winners and losers they have a losers in Las Vegas. And
so maybe you are paying for Vegas's drinks then, huh?
There you go. But I love the idea of the street races. I think they're fantastic. I think it's really cool. I think Formula One likes them.
Yeah.
I think Formula One is trying to, because, and this, Governor Lee has not just put something out there for $500 million for football, but apparently there's $17 million on the table to lure NASCAR to the fairgrounds.
Oh, wow.
So,
I think I saw something on the Daily Memphian. There's $2 million in something in Memphis too, on the river that he put out there. I'm not sure what.
I mean, clearly this is Governor Lee is making it known that sports tourism is important to,
and Tennessee is open for business, as they say.
He certainly has said that a few times. But I thought that was really important because, while auto racing has certainly seen a decline in viewership, the people who watch auto racing are deeply loyal fans. I mean, almost to the point where, they'll fight you if you say something bad. And I think that's what you have to get in places like Vegas. You're going to get a lot of people to fly in, and places like Nashville, that's what Formula One is trying to ingrain itself into the American racing culture. And one way to do that is to build an event around their event.
Yeah, that's the ticket. I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same, or it has a different vibe, but if it's actually in your town rather than being at a facility in your town.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Before we get out of here, we've got about a minute left, but I wanted to mention from Main Street in Nashville's Ashley Perham, 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 P-E-R-H-A-M. The verdict is in.
Oh my goodness, that was quick.
An hour and about a half. About an hour and a half it took to convict Clay Beathard's killer.
Wow.
So
sentencing next, right?
There will be a sentencing next. But yeah, so guilty on all 4 counts: first-degree murder of Clay Beathard, first-degree murder of Paul Trapani III, attempted first-degree murder of A.J. Bethurum, and assault of Sam Folks. Guilty on all 4 counts. So, yeah, at 12:12, the judge read the jury instructions, which took about a half an hour. The jury was released to eat lunch and deliberate at 12:52. The verdict was in at 2:57. So,
2 hours
depending on how long they took for lunch,
to eat.
it was about an hour and a half.
They ate lunch and gave the verdict.
Yeah.
In an hour and a half.
I mean, literally, they were
That's
just
amazing.
I was a judge in the Texaco Country Showdown one year in Russellville, Alabama. And when the show was over, me and the 4 other judges walked upstairs, looked at each other and said, "So, sweet tea trio," and then walked out. Like that's exactly what they walked in there, were like, "So, guilty on all 4? Sounds good to me."
Yeah. How was your turkey sandwich?
How was your turkey sandwich? And then they took 10 minutes to deliberate, and the next hour and a half to
let's eat these fries before they get cold.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's not gonna,
guilty, right?
It's a nice, comfortable room.
Yeah.
Come on.
we ain't got nowhere to be. So they basically said, "All right, we got to be done before such and such time so that we can
go home.
get out of here and miss traffic."
Yeah.
So that didn't take long.
But that's, I mean,
And for those of you who don't know, Clay Beathard, the brother of CJ Beathard, who is now a Jacksonville Jaguar, I believe so, and former BGA quarterback.
And the younger Beathard was himself a quarterback at Long Island University. Sam Folks pitches at UT Martin. So couple of former BGA athletes involved in that unfortunate incident. And Michael Mosley had been in trouble before that incident. And it's nice to see this verdict come down, and hopefully he won't be.
He was out on bond when the murders occurred.
Hopefully he won't be in a position to hurt anybody else out on the streets ever again.
Absolutely. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. Come back tomorrow, 2:00 on Main Street Media digital outlets or on your preferred podcast platform, where you can search Main Street Sports Today and subscribe. Get notifications every time that we drop the podcast, and you can listen to us at your leisure.
And we got clumsy hands, so we drop it a lot.
We do. And we drop it like it's hot.
Oh, no.
And it will be. Tomorrow will be a great one. We'll talk MTSU. Hopefully they'll get the win over Seton Hall tonight.
And we'll also talk Jeff Ham,
That's
play-by-play voice of the Nashville Sounds, who will open their season on Tuesday at First Horizon Park.
There you go. Come back tomorrow, 2:00. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you then.